Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this. My name is Roop Sen, and this is my colleague,
Uma Chatterjee.
and we are the managing partners of Change Mantras, which is a firm that works on leadership and organization consulting. A year and a half ago, we were asked to conduct a research called We the Leaders. The research was to study leadership propensities amongst people who run organizations, who founded organizations in the social sector, working on the themes of combating violence, empowerment of marginalized communities, combating human trafficking and exploitation. 55 organizations participated in this research from across the country, 16 states, and 110 people participated in the study over the last 1.5 years. We conducted the research in collaboration with an organization called Reflexive Lenses. Reflexive Lenses was founded by Ashok Malhotra, who's a name to reckon with in the space of organization consulting and leadership development. Ashok is a progenitor of the existential universal mapper, which is a profiler for individuals and organizations, probably the only one of its kind in the whole world today, where the same instrument or the framework is used equally for organizations and individuals to study the relationship between self and systems. So when we were asked to conduct this research on leadership propensities in the social sector, we thought you would be a great instrument and a tool to conduct the study, and therefore we invited Ashok, and he very kindly agreed to collaborate with us on this research. The research was conducted with, using quantitative data, where people filled up the instrument, and then we followed it up with some in-depth interviews, which Uma and I had personally conducted, which was superly exciting and very, very energizing. And I know Uma wants to talk about it. Uma, would you like to talk about your experiences of conducting the research? But before talking about our experience of the research, perhaps we should introduce ourselves a little more. So my name is Roop Sen, and I have been working in the space of personal growth and organizational development for the last 10 years, more focusedly. And prior to that, I was working much, much more in the social sector, working on themes of migration, violence, youth empowerment. When we started Change Mantras 10 years ago, I think one of the things that I wanted to do is, apart from study leadership as a theme across sectors. So look at the social sector, the corporate sector, bureaucracy, entrepreneurs, individual entrepreneurs, small organizations, large organizations. And that's what got me interested to work and start Change Mantras.
Hi, I'm Uma, and many of you know me. For those who don't, a short introduction about myself. I'm a psychologist by education and a very keen psychosocial researcher and trainer by profession. Many of you know me as the co-founder and managing partner of organizations like Change Mantras and Sanjog. Themes of gender equity, leadership development, therapeutic storytelling, and researching on issues of human experiences of going through highs and lows of living, self-work, working in collectives. These are some of the themes that really, really excite me.
The purpose of this study was to try and understand the collective leadership propensities of organizations working in the sector. And when we talk about leadership propensities, what do we mean? One is about, who are the leaders of this sector? How do they view leadership and their roles? What seems to be the sources of commitment? What are some of the distinctiveness in their worldview and in their role taking? And how, therefore, is there even a distinctiveness of leaders of this sector as opposed to other sectors? Of course, we didn't do much of a comparative study, but since Ashok has already worked quite extensively and he's used the Hume quite extensively with organizations in the corporate sector, so it was one of the things that one kept in mind while analyzing the data. The purpose of the research was to try and understand where does the collective leadership propensities lie at this point of time in this ecosystem. When we talk about leadership propensities, what the ask was to try and understand what seems to be the motivations, intentions, thought processes of leaders of this sector, and is there a pattern to it? Are there certain pulls, and are there certain wishes and dreams and desires, and what is a collective energy leading towards? The ask was this from the organization that commissioned the research, which was a Japanese organization called Kamuno Hashi, to inform their funding strategy and inform their board that in what ways do leaders wish to be supported in their journey, and what would collectively help strengthen the leadership ecosystem in this sector. But before we go on to talking about the research in a little more specifics, I think it's very necessary that Uma and I also talk about what have been our experiences of conducting this research. Because at Change Mantras, one of our theme line is what we aspire to change changes us. And this research for sure has also shaped and changed the way we think and feel on leadership in the social sector. Both of us have co-founded a non-profit organization called Sanjog, which again works on issues around empowerment. And so needless to say that there have been huge resonances as well. So we were not just researchers studying leadership, we were also from the sector. And therefore, many of the conversations have been very intimate. So Uma, would you like to share how you felt and how we felt about
the research in itself was very, very interesting, intriguing, and extremely inspiring. So our curiosity to explore and know more about the world of social impact leaders, that actually inspired us to take up a research like this, like We the Leaders. The process, Roop and I, as researchers, listeners, inquirers, provocators, this entire process has brought up insights on what helps leaders and their organizations to thrive, how leadership is about connecting with the power within oneself, and connecting with the power of the community to everyday challenges of work. At various moments during this research, we felt a surge of respect for such strong social leadership that is built upon humility, fairness, and kindness. But these are often termed as soft skills. And we absolutely realize that these are not soft in any form. I mean, these are not soft forms of power. These are forms of power that is earned, and it carries a lot of weight, both as boons and burdens. So there were moments during this research with admiration. There were also moments of doubts and inquisitiveness amongst us as researchers about how is all of this held together by leaders? How does it leave social transformation leaders to go on in their journeys? These are long journeys, just sometimes very lonely and exhausting. So it has left us as researchers with a lot of energy and a lot of deep desire to know what can be, to know, to understand, to explore what is it that social impact leaders wish to explore more, wish to take up more, what is it that they aspire for more, what is it that they want to leave and let go of. So all of this left us extremely inspired, energized, and wanting for more.
So Uma's already gotten into some of the themes that were explored, but let me recount for those of you who did not participate in the research as well. I think the first theme we looked at was, who are the leaders in the sector? Is there a profile? Is there a pattern? What motivates a person to get into this sector, to start an organization? How do they view leadership, and how do they view their roles as leaders? What are their sources of commitment, and how are they distinctive in their worldview and their role taking in the sector?
A second kind of theme that we looked at were to explore the pulls and stresses that leaders experience in their leadership role taking. So in their interfaces with organizations, the larger ecosystem, with their communities, what are some of the stressors? What are some of the enablers, the disablers? How do they engage with dilemmas, conflicts, polarities? How do they interface with all of that? How do they manage that? How do they hold these dilemmas? Was another layer of exploration that we did.
The third layer of exploration was about how do the leaders view change for themselves and for others? How do some of us make compromises? What are some of the compromises we choose to make? And what are compromises we refuse to make? What are some of our stances that are negotiable, and some of our stances where we will not negotiate because it violates some basic principle and value that we hold very dear. And therefore, what seems to be our collective aspiration in terms of for ourselves, for the sector, for our organizations as well.
One of the most exciting themes I think that we explored and we got a glimpse of was the very personal, emotional, very passionate narratives of leaders when they talked about aspirations of personal and organizational legacy. How leaders wish to be remembered. How do they wish their organizations to be remembered? How do they wish their communities to move on, to move on in their journeys of transformation, of resilience, of empowerment? And what are some of the barriers that leaders experience in legacy building for themselves, for their organizations, for their communities, for the sector? It was fascinating how leaders spoke about so intimately, so honestly about this theme of legacy, or what do they want to leave behind, what are the wishes, and what are their desires and aspirations, when this journey comes to an end for them. So that was another very, very fascinating theme on legacy building in leadership.
In the next few episodes, we're going to delve into each of these themes a little more deeply. We're going to be inviting Ashok Malhotra to join us. And we're going to have a conversation where we're going to explore, ask questions, and try to understand what has the research seems to have offered in terms of findings. Eventually, the purpose for all of doing all of this and in little capsules is not to overwhelm with you a long video to you. Yeah, we hope that with each of the episodes, and we're doing it a little periodically, that you'll also get some time to think probably, or you might choose to see all of them together. So after about 5 of these episodes, we're going to come back into a conversation with all of you, whoever wishes to join. And in that conversation, we would like to hear from you that what of these findings and offerings and insights seem to resonate with your experiences. What seems to dissonate with you? It doesn't seem to ring a bell. And probably have a conversation in where should collective leadership work in the social sector move towards, particularly in the work around empowering marginalized communities and preventing violence.
Please stay tuned. A series of short AVs that we will be sharing on We the Leaders, and hope that you will join us for the collective workshop that we're looking at the end of these 5 or 6 AVs.
So even as you listen to these videos, if you have questions and you would like to get in touch with us, please write to us at the emails in the links below. And we would love to hear from you, and hope to keep this engagement and build this engagement with you in the next few weeks. See you soon. Bye-bye.